of the Prepathon, where we discussed all about web optimization, performance, security, UI, UX, you name it. Day two is all about revenue and growth. So if you are an agency, e-commerce, online store owner, or any, in fact, for that matter, any online business owner, this is the day for you. Today, I'm joined by Ricky Kesler, who is the founder of Income School, and he is going to give us a talk on how to diversify your income streams. So Ricky, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so guys, before I start off this session, I just want to remind everyone that we have a leaderboard over here, as I said yesterday, that will decide the winner of the most engaging participant of this event. So make sure that you engage on the chat, ask questions from our guests, because they are here for just 45 minutes. So you have this time to make sure that you ask all the questions that you want from Ricky, and especially today, if you are looking to scale your business, scale your growth, accelerate revenue, make sure that you hang around and ask Ricky all the questions that you want. So, Ricky, tell us, what are we going to discuss today?
Yeah, I'll be talking today a bit about monetization, how we can diversify our monetization to help protect our business, make our business more sustainable and long lasting, and help hopefully level out and continue to grow our income, even through kind of turbulent times, or even when there are external factors that are absolutely going to impact any one particular income stream.
All right. So, Ricky, with that, I will give you the stage, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Mohammed. Cool. Well, like I said, today I'm going to talk a bit about best practices, some of the pitfalls to avoid when we try to diversify our income stream. So let's jump in. This is a little bit of just a roadmap for where we're going for the first little bit of this discussion. So let's talk a little bit about diversification. The most important thing that I find in a business is making sure that we have diversification across really everything. Diversification in our monetization, our income streams, and diversification in our marketing. If we rely on any one platform for marketing, we're setting ourselves up for trouble, as we've seen recently with Google, their recent update. We've seen with AI content over this year. If you're 100% dependent on Google traffic, then you might be struggling right now, or you might be doing great because you may have done well as a result of the last helpful content update. The problem is, though, that it's outside of our control. The same is true for monetization. So if you're dependent on one income stream, then changes in a lot of external forces can have an impact on your business. And so I'll give you one example, is just the rates that we're able to earn from ad revenue on our websites. Those ad rates vary a lot from season to season. So right now we're heading into Q4. This is typically the best time of year for ad rates, and we're already starting to see that. We're seeing just websites able to earn more per page view on their website from ads. We will have lots of opportunities over the next couple of months for some good affiliate marketing pushes, because with just big sales that happen typically around Black Friday here in the US, at least, and Cyber Monday, now it's turned from a day into like a week and a half of sales on the internet. And so everybody that we're affiliates for, they'll have their products on sale, and they'll usually want to push those. And so we have a lot of opportunity. But the rest of the year, ads and affiliate marketing will have a tendency to be a little bit lower. Likewise, this year, we've just seen, due to the economy, lower ad rates overall. So compared to last year and the year before, we've just been seeing ad rates coming down a little bit just because of economic forces. And that's just like completely outside of our control. Okay. So having multiple income streams helps to level that out and helps to grow our business. If you've been dependent on ads and affiliate marketing, like a lot of bloggers are, you might want to consider some other income streams, like creating your own product, whether that's a digital product or even a physical product. Those of you in e-commerce, you might want to consider, what else can I do? Is there some passive income streams that I could participate in as well? Could I be an affiliate for someone else who has a product that I don't, but that's really complementary? And that could become a passive income stream. What I recommend, though, as a best practice is to have some controllable income streams as well as some passive income streams. And so, controllable meaning if you have your own product, there's a lot of levers that you can pull. If your business is struggling and cash flow is a little bit rough, you can do a sale, right? You can push something out to people who are affiliates for you, right? You can push them some sort of opportunity, provide them with some sort of an incentive to talk about your product more in the coming months. There are a lot of things that you can do. Whereas I also recommend some passive income streams where you're able to make money in your sleep. Basically, we've created the content, everything, the machine is running, and it just continues to work, and you're able to generate income without having to add additional work, basically, with every customer, if that makes sense. So I also recommend mixed levels of involvement. So you should only have as much managed income as you can feasibly manage. So, if you have a great product, but basically it's already, you're like at your wit's end trying to manage this product, trying to keep up, trying to deal with orders and all of those things, then adding in another product line is actually probably not going to be very effective unless you can systematize and you can and then build on that, basically by adding team members or creating some sort of system or some sort of automation around it. So some diversification between passive and active income streams. All right. So next we'll go, let's talk about just, these are some examples of those income streams. I've kind of already alluded to these, but passive income, for the most part, for a lot of us online, that's going to look like programmatic advertising, whether that, on your own website, that's going to usually be through either directly through AdSense or through another company like Mediavine or Raptive or Zoic, who service and provide those programmatic ads. But there's a lot of options for active income streams that a lot of people haven't considered. If you're in e-commerce, you may not have considered information products. If you're a blogger, you may not have considered going down the e-commerce path. And for those of you who have been thinking about information products but don't know what to do, you could potentially start with one of my favorites, which I call the asynchronous consultation, which is where basically, somebody wants to purchase your expertise. They fill out some sort of a survey with the questions that they have for you, and then you do all the work and you put together your response and you send it to them. It's a lot less daunting if you're concerned at all about that. It's a lot less daunting than a live consultation. However, consultations are a fantastic way to get close to your audience and understand what their problems are and what their concerns are. And as you start to see patterns, then okay, cool. This is a problem I see a lot of people have. Here's a question a lot of people have. And we can start answering that question or solving that problem through a product that's less expensive for buyers to buy than a direct consult, but that doesn't require your labor with every single consultation or every single customer that makes a purchase. So huge opportunities, and a lot of us are leaving a lot of money on the table by not taking advantage of more of these. All right. So next best practice for trying to diversify your monetization. This comes, we'll call this, this is optimized. Okay. One of the biggest problems that entrepreneurs have, and this is true with internet entrepreneurs as much as anybody else, is you get started, but before too long, you're doing all the jobs, right? You've built the website, but you're doing everything. You create a product, you're also the customer support. I just recently read a book that has shifted my mindset a little bit, because I have grown a bit of a team, not a huge team, but I've grown a team to be able to start taking on some of the things that I could pass off. But as the entrepreneur, I'm still very, very involved in basically everything that we do. And this book that I read is called 10X is Easier Than 2X. It's by Dan Sullivan with Benjamin Hardy. So for anybody who's interested, I'm not even giving you an affiliate link. You just go look up the book. It's a good book. But Dan Sullivan's been teaching entrepreneurs for decades and has tremendous experience. And one of the things that he talks about is how, we need to take the 20% of the work we do that is the thing that we are really, really good at, where we get in that flow state. And everything else that we do, we need to learn how to either, some of those things we can probably stop doing because they're not very high value. But some of those things are the things that we could either automate, or we could hand off to maybe a virtual assistant, or maybe somewhere down the road, maybe it's something you hand off to an employee who's working for you, or you hire someone to do those jobs so that you can focus on the 20% that drives the most value and that takes most advantage of your unique skill set. Okay. We should be focusing, even if you can't hire anybody right now, we should be trying to focus most of our time on the highest value efforts that we do. And when it comes to monetization, focus your time on the highest value monetization. When, over this last year, I've heard a lot of talk about ad rates. They're not as high as they used to be. What can I do? How do I optimize my ads? And I say, well, okay, is that the biggest opportunity for you? What if you added an info product? That info product could be worth 100 times what those ads are worth on your website. So, maybe trying to optimize your ads a little bit to make an extra 3% or 5%, maybe that's not the best use of your time. Not that you should never optimize those ads. We should try to optimize our income streams, but we should also dedicate our biggest efforts to the highest payoff things and focus on one thing at a time. One of the worst things that we can do is try to focus on so many things as entrepreneurs, as website owners, right? And we try to focus on too many things because we do all the jobs, we wear all the hats. But every time you switch between tasks, you're using up mental energy. Okay, and so every bit of it, and every time we do that, we're tiring ourselves out even more. So what we need to do is focus on one thing at a time. So today, you should try to have, like, what's the main thing you're going to get done today? What's the main thing you're going to focus on here at the Prepathon? So today is a learning day. And, if later in the day, there's some other tasks you need to get done, like figure out what those should be. And try not to do a little bit on 20 things, but try to finish one thing or two things, right? We need to do a better job of not focusing. And a lot of us entrepreneurs, I feel like, entrepreneurship attracts people with ADHD. And so it's really easy for us to jump back and forth between things. We feel like that's what we want to do mentally. But realistically, if you can get yourself into a flow state and focus on one thing, you're going to accomplish substantially more in the same amount of time. Okay. All right. So I think that's enough on that for right now. Let's talk about the other best practice, which was systematize. I mentioned this earlier as well. But one of the best things we can do to grow our income is to automate basically everything that we can. If there's something that you're doing that's at all repetitive, let's find out a way to create a system around it. Maybe that's some kind of automation through a software tool. Maybe that's something that you can just literally write out a process for and hand it off to a virtual assistant. We live in a day and age when you can work with a virtual assistant that you never meet in real life. And basically they're everywhere. You can find them. You can meet people on Fiverr or Upwork. Take your time to find somebody that you you can trust, right? I would start by handing off things that are maybe less critical until you just develop some rapport with the person. But getting a virtual assistant was one of the first really good things that I did in this business. And we did it a long time ago. And that same person, fortunately, I mean, in my case, it was somebody that I know personally and who's actually a neighbor and a friend. So, but she's been with us since then. And honestly has probably saved me as much time as any full-time employee, simply because I was able to systematize some things, hand them off to her, say, written out, here's what you do. When somebody sends in an email asking this question, because it seems to happen a lot, Here's the answer. And then, as new questions came in, she would send me, here's a new question I haven't seen before. What should I say? And I would just give her like, here's my answer. But then she would take that answer and she would make it sound a little bit, I don't know, little bit better. Like I would just give her the blunt, here's the answer. And she would just take it and hand it off to people, right? And send that email off. But then she would document it. Well, now we're using, for all of our customer support, we're using HubSpot. So even when somebody emails in, it comes into HubSpot. This isn't intended to be a sales pitch, by the way. Lots of systems can do this, but now she's created templates for all of those common emails. So when she gets one of those questions, she selects the template where she's already written out the response, and it automatically fills in their name, and then she can customize it from there based upon the person's specific question. But now that's saving her tons of time because even she's automating her own steps. Okay. So the more you can systemize and the more you can hand off, the better you're going to be able to implement these higher forms of monetization. If you're doing e-commerce, you already know, like there's probably already a lot on your plate. If you haven't sold your own product before, even if it's a digital product, you're going to need to brace yourself for at least some level of customer support. If you've only been doing the passive income streams, the programmatic ads, the affiliate marketing, for the most part, you're just creating content and you're just leaving it at that. And it's really nice. But again, a lot of the big money to be made is when you can create something of value and sell it yourself and get to keep the value from that. You get to, instead of getting a 2% commission or, a couple pennies of ad revenue from somebody reading your content, now you get to keep the entire value of what you created and sold to somebody. And so a lot fewer transactions generates a lot more revenue. But just recognize it's going to be time to really step up your systematizing game. Okay. All right. Let's jump into the next thing, which is some pitfalls. So there are definitely some pitfalls that we run into that I want to help you avoid as content creators, and especially as you're trying to grow your monetization. The first thing is to own your customer list. Most of the platforms that we use online, we have very little control over. We have control over our own website and any subscriptions that we have, an email list. If you have a membership on a platform that you can control, right? If you have a membership through something like YouTube or Patreon, that's good. It's another way to get value, right? It's another way to earn some income from people. But once again, you're dependent on someone's platform. And like with YouTube, if for some reason something happens, right, and your YouTube account gets shut down, we need to make sure that we can own our customer list, that those people that are those dedicated followers of our content on our website or on all of our other social platforms, as many of those people as possible, we need to be able to control our ability to connect with those people. So the easiest form of this is an email newsletter. If you can get people's email addresses, fantastic. If you can take that a step further and create some sort of subscription or community, the membership that I have with Income School is called Project 24. And when people sign up, they're part of a community, but also since they've given me their information and they've made a purchase, I now have their name and email address. So I have a way to contact them even if I got deplatformed. So anyway, one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is to basically have a great marketing platform, and then because they don't own that platform, something happens and they lose their ability to directly connect with that audience, and that's it. Right now, you can regrow that. People who care and who are following you, they will try to come find you, right? But you're going to lose a lot of people. And you could potentially go through a period of time where it takes time to sort of rebuild that connection, and for those people to find you or for you to refine them. And during that time, I mean, that alone could be devastating to your business, and could make you have to go do something else or shut it down, just from a cash flow standpoint. So there you go. make sure that you find a way to own as much of your customer list as possible. We don't own Google. So even our websites, if we're dependent on traffic from Google for people to find us, that alone is not sufficient. If we can get people to sign up for something, some sort of subscription, even if it's free. One of the ways that we've done this is to create kind of an insiders program. It's kind of like what you would see in a Patreon or like a YouTube membership, where there's some additional kind of either behind the scenes or additional helpful content that they can get by being a member of that, but we just make it free. And realistically, all it is our email list. But what we're sending them, what they're getting for being on the email list, isn't just a bunch of marketing emails, and it isn't even just a monthly newsletter. It's additional content that only they get. And so for being a free subscriber to this, they get that information, that they get that, right? That additional information, that additional content. And so they're an insider. And I think that's just a much better way to do an email list than just saying, hey, sign up for my email list so that I can send you promotional emails every so often. And also once a month, I'll send you a helpful newsletter. I think we can do better. And we should just make sure that whatever reason we give people to sign up is extremely valuable for them. Okay. Anyway, we don't own any of these other platforms. So make sure that you take advantage of connecting where you can. The second pitfall is creating more than we can manage. I mentioned this earlier with that book, 10x is easier than 2x. This has become, I'm thinking about this a lot because this is actually a difficulty for me. Right now, I have too many things, and it's hard to turn something off, right? It's hard to say, well, I guess I won't worry about this product anymore, or I guess I won't continue to do this marketing stream that we have, right? That's just, it's really difficult once you've started something to shut it down, especially if they're, the public perception, like, why are they shutting this down? Did it not work? And then people start to make stories in their minds about your business and what's going on. Try to focus on what's going to create value for you, create something, and then don't create something else until you have the systems in place to be able to manage it. My former business partner, the other co-founder of Income School, Jim Harmer, he wrote a book as well called Work Energy, and in it he talks about his experience even before Income School. He had a photography blog and podcast and YouTube channel, and he was building up this great business, right? He had several courses, he had lots of really good stuff and a huge following. And so he hired this team, he kind of built it up and got all these people working for him. But he really struggled with systematizing and then literally handing stuff off so that he could just let it go and completely trust the people that were doing those jobs to do their job. And as a result of that, he was unable to grow his business further because he was continually involved in everything. And so when he would try to add something here, whatever he had going before started to decline because it was still dependent on him, even though he had employees that he was paying, because he just couldn't get himself to completely hand things off. We got to systematize and we've got to be able to hand things off. If you can't do that, then you're not going to be able to create something more. So only create what you are able to manage. And just know that no matter how much you think you can hand something off, there's always going to be a little bit of time required from you to manage other people and other things. So anyway, just an important pitfall that happens to a lot of people. Let's see, I had a little bit more here. Oh, I mentioned this before, but this is a quote from Susan Cain, who she wrote some good books as well. But one of the things that she wrote was this: what looks like multitasking is really switching back and forth between multiple tasks, which reduces productivity, increases mistakes by up to 50%. If you have too many things going on that require your attention, like I do right now, you're going to make more mistakes. And here's what I find: I get less done in a day because I'm thinking about too many things and I have too many people coming to me to interrupt, to get my input. So I'm working on this myself. what we've got to do is systematize, and we've got to get the right people in place, and then give them the resources that they need to be able to move forward without having to go to you all the time and have you directly involved in everything. Okay. Really important for growing your monetization if you're going to try to add multiple income streams, which again, like we talked about earlier, it really is key. If you want to be really successful as an internet entrepreneur, as an internet business owner, single income streams or even just having a couple of passive streams, that's where I'm seeing people that are just right now, they're just kind of devastated by, their sites got hit really hard by the recent Google updates, or AI is taking too much of their traffic now. And suddenly their income is just really low compared to what it was. And they're really struggling. But there are a lot of other content creators who are doing just fine because they have other income streams, and because they have, again, maybe they own more of their customer list. All right. The next one, the other pitfall here, I wrote, "Don't worry, be happy." It's not intended to just be like hey, you know what? Everything's great, because I know for a lot of people it's not. For some of us it is. Things are fine, but the reality is there are things that are outside of our control, and those are things that we probably shouldn't spend a whole lot of energy worrying about. So being in the space that I am, being in the position that I'm in as a content creator, as someone who influences other content creators, I hear a lot from people. And I, recently been getting comments from people who are saying like, nah, blogging's dying. Stop teaching this stuff because it doesn't work anymore. Um, and it's like, why would I stop? Why would I stop? There's still tremendous opportunity. I have people coming to me, I have companies coming to me saying, we finally need to get on board. We need to start using content to organically drive traffic. We're paying too much for ads and they don't work as well anymore. Okay. Big companies are recognizing the value here, but individual bloggers are seeing a few things and letting that just completely destroy all of their hope, and it's taking away all of their energy. And it's because, again, over this year, we've seen ad rates lower than typical because of the economy. And, we've seen AI has been a big disruptor, and it's going to be a disruptor, but we will just adapt. We'll see what's coming. There's also new opportunities opening up as a result of AI. And if we can recognize the opportunities and learn how to thrive in the new internet, the new world that we live in, then you get to be at the forefront. And when you're at the forefront, the payout is a lot bigger than when you just wait for other people to figure it out and follow along once you know it's a sure path. So my point here is to focus your energy on what you can control. I don't know who to attribute this quote to. It's not even really a direct quote, but it's one I've heard, I've been told basically my entire life, which is something to the effect of, and if somebody knows who said this or where this originally came from, let me know, but it's a good principle. And the principle is this: the things I can do, I do. The things I can't, I don't do, and I don't worry about them. Okay? If there are things you don't have control over, worrying doesn't help. We can't control what Amazon does with affiliate commissions. Years ago, Amazon used to pay out so much more. They don't pay out as much anymore. We can't control that. So we can get upset. We can worry about affiliate commissions, or we can figure out ways to optimize our affiliate marketing and then move on. Try to drive more traffic to it, try to optimize our funnels. Fantastic. Do those things and then move on. Maybe it's like, well, okay, that was just the kick I needed to start learning how to do programmatic ads. Oh, ad rates aren't what they were a couple of years ago. Well, just recognize that the economy swings, and Q4 is here now, and ad rates are going to go up. And who knows, maybe next year will be better. Maybe it'll be worse. Okay. It just depends on what the economy does, but ad rates will probably come back at some point. But if that's not enough, then okay, cool. Well, maybe that's just the kick I needed to start working on something I have more control over, which is maybe creating some of your own products, adding some of these other income streams. You can control your own strategy. You can control your own products. So focus your energy on things you can control, and don't focus your energy on things that are completely outside of your control. Worrying just destroys hope and sucks up your energy. All right, that is what I had prepared for you. We do still have some time, I believe, so I'm happy to take questions. It looks like we have some
Sure.
here
Thank you.
already.
Yeah, thank you, Ricky. That was very insightful. So we do have 10 to 15 minutes. So let's move on to the questions. Let's see what the audience has to say. There is a very interesting chat going on in the chat section. A lot of people are resonating with your ADHD comment, and yeah, some people wanted to know what the book was. So let's just move to the questions that we have regarding this session. So the first question that we have is from Lindsay. I'm pinning the question on screen. It's a bit lengthy. So let me just read it out for you. As an e-commerce seller, we have considered adding paid digital courses to walk customers through how to service their own equipment. Do you have any recommendations on how to publish and gate these video tutorials? So those who buy them can access the videos for a set amount of time.
Yeah, there are some different ways to do this depending on kind of how you want to package the whole thing up. So um, what we do with Project 24 is there is a set amount of time. It's gated. It's kind of what you've described, and we wanted to have a community element. You can use any sort of membership plugin. So you say you're using WooCommerce, so that tells me you're
Yeah.
you're on WordPress. You can use a
Yeah.
membership plugin, like MemberPress is what we've used, but also um, I'm using more now. I'm newer sites. I'm starting to use like the Sure Cart, Sure Members, Sure Triggers. That all comes from that Sure Cart business line, and that works really well too. So basically, those plugins will handle the payment processing, and then they'll allow you to create rules on your website for what content can be viewed and by what people, depending on what they've purchased. So then somebody could purchase a 6-month or a 1-year membership or access to certain content, and so then it creates a subscription for them, and that member will have 1 year or 1 month or whatever of access to certain pages. Then for the video content, you can, if you want to, you could just host it on YouTube leaving them unlisted and embed those on pages on your website. You can use separate video hosting like bunny.net, or there are lots of others. Wistia is pricey. Bunny.net's I think a little bit more affordable solution that makes a lot of sense. And Vimeo is another option. So there are some great video hosting platforms that will allow you to embed this content. If you want it to be structured really well in a nice lesson format, you could use an LMS plugin like LearnDash, which is what we use. That basically I generate lessons and then it structures them, and I put together my course. So lots of ways to do that, but basically there's WordPress plugins that'll do it all for you. But it sounds like you probably want a membership plugin on your website that'll allow you to essentially create that paywall and a gate, and then have a time-based access to that content.
Thank you, Ricky. I hope, Lindsay, you got your answer to that question. Another question that we have is what techniques are employed to identify revenue streams? I think what they want to ask is that suitable revenue streams based on what someone can do.
Yeah. So, what revenue streams, I'm going to employ on, or even recommend for somebody else to use on in their business, are really dependent on what kind of audience they're able to build, and then also what the skills and capabilities of the business owner are. So, in my case, I usually start, because I'm starting kind of from the content side and from the blogging side. I'll usually start with, I have an audience. I'll create the passive income streams. I'll do affiliate marketing from day one. I identify the products I want to recommend based upon just the content that I'm creating. The content is all based on what questions am I answering for people? What problems am I solving? And if you can start from that standpoint of what problem can I solve, then it makes it a lot easier to promote a product. Okay. And so that's where I start with affiliate marketing. The ads, as soon as you have the traffic to justify ads, I just put some ads on a site. I wouldn't necessarily put ads on like e-commerce pages on a site. I would rather focus on the sale in that case.
Okay.
Then from there, it's just a matter of as we get to know this audience, as we start to build this audience, I try to identify further what are the problems that people have and how can I solve them. If the problem that they have can be solved by a product, and we could get a product designed and created and sell it directly, then fantastic. There's an e-commerce opportunity. Or if I could source one, drop ship, whatever works for you. But if the problem I can solve for them is a product, then I'll go e-commerce. If there's a problem they have that can be solved through education, then now I'm creating an information product, a course. And if the problem can be solved through a piece of software, a tool that we could have created, then that's the route that we'll go. So starting with the problem to be solved and what's the value to a customer of solving this problem for them, can I generate something that they would be willing to pay for? And it's really just kind of working through that. And then obviously within whatever skill sets that you have. So, if you're a software developer, then I'm probably going to lean more towards software as the solution, as kind of a first something that I can create. Yeah. So that's basically it. Just find problems that you have the skills to solve, and then you'll reach a point where you don't necessarily need to have the skills to solve the problem, because you can now bring somebody in that can solve it. You can either pay a developer to create a tool for you, or hire somebody to create whatever it is that you don't have the skills to create.
Excellent. Spot on, Ricky, as always. Moving on to our next question, we have from John. Evergreen content planning. I'm sure you hear this word a lot, evergreen content. We focus our efforts on the planning for monthly releases to optimize engagement, sales, etc. Do you have a calendar or a map or a schedule that they can use to release template?
I don't have a template or anything for that, but we do. I release a lot of content that isn't really based on a specific schedule. For YouTube content, we release weekly, and most of it is just, what can I do this week? What's a question I can answer? What's a problem I can solve? On the website itself, I don't time most of the content. I create it as I identify an opportunity. I create a piece of content and I put it out there. But there are specific pieces of content that I'll put out quarterly, or in some cases annually, that I know are going to drive more sales, and those I will time. So I don't have like a template or a specific calendar or specific recommendation. But for example, every year, around this time of year, as November's coming up, I'll prepare some content that kind of gets people ready, and then I'll push out a YouTube video that makes a much stronger sales push, and then I'll announce kind of like a discount for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, usually about a week, and that's usually a good opportunity. So most of the content I create is just evergreen, and it doesn't matter so much when I put it out. But I do time some content, and it's maybe less formal than maybe what you're doing.
Okay, perfect. Moving on to the last question of this session, we have from Startup Sanatan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. So, any suggestions on voice-enabled Amazon Alexa scale ISP purchases?
Not really. I don't really have a lot of experience or skill with that. Okay. I'm not an expert in that, so I would have to defer to somebody who has more experience. Sorry.
Got it. Thank you so much, Ricky. I have a question for you before we end this session. So you have been a host at the Prepathon. Just wanted to know how your experience has been as a guest speaker this year. If you mind, you want to say a few words?
Sure. Yeah. I did participated in this last year and again this year. It's a good event. I was able to participate or to view some of the discussion yesterday as well. Just great talks. But as a presenter, it's um, honestly like of many of the things that I've done, it's one that just it flows very smoothly and honestly takes up a lot less of my time.
Yeah,
You know, it's very well prepared, very well. We test everything, make sure everything is
yeah.
working days in advance, and that's great. But we don't waste time that's not needed, and that's really helpful for an entrepreneur as well. So, very good experience.
Thank you, Ricky. With that, I will have to end this session today. I want to thank Ricky. Thank you so much for being here today. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for taking your time out today and doing this with us. Thank you, everyone who joined us in this session and everyone who asked questions. I want to tell everyone that we have a special activity coming up right after this session, which is a growth expert challenge. It's a quiz. So, anyone who wants to participate in this quiz, I would request them to stay over here on this stage. And I will be back in a couple of minutes with Brent Weaver, who is going to be hosting the quiz. So, make sure that you stay here and participate in the quiz to win uh, gift cards and vouchers. So, see you in a bit. Thank you.